As a sheriff of Middlesex County, I'm responsible for the care, custody, and control for about 1,400 inmates, 717 pretrial detainees, about 503 on hand in our House of Corrections and Jail in Billerica. About 560 are sentenced men in our House of Corrections in Billerica. During my time as sheriff, and I know other sheriffs have seen much of the same thing, we've seen a decline in the sentence population and an increase in the jail population, something that has been troubling to us as to the reasons why, and much anecdotal information about it. I felt that the issue warranted a greater, more in-depth analysis, and as not only did I, but Senator Jalen and Senator Eldridge, as well as Senator Donnelly, also joined in this thought. We actually, and they requested the National Institute of Corrections conduct a trend analysis of our pretrial population here in Middlesex County. I'll just be very brief. What it found was that the average length of stay increased by nearly 24% over the 6 years from 2008 to 2013 of the data they had asked for. The average length of stay increased by 24%. The average daily population increased by 30% during that same period. But what's important is that the average population of the county grew at about only 5% per year, and that's the same as our bookings increased at the same time. So what we found was that people are staying longer and longer in our jail, not moving in through so quickly. It's important to note that 1 day increase in the average length of stay will increase the average daily population by 12, with the reverse also being true, that a day decrease in the average length of stay will decrease the average daily population by 12. I won't go through the recommendations. Senator Donnelly has already mentioned them. I will say that there has been progress, along with your bill, that the trial court and probation, we have been working together on the probation pretrial task force, which exists now. I have been appointed to the task force to work on this issue. The task force is charged with examining pretrial decision-making and pretrial services, and we're actually launching a pilot program in Middlesex County for the implementation of a validated risk assessment tool, since we've already been gathering much of the data. So we're already in the process of doing this. I'm also pleased to see that the bill recommends a number of things. One of them is the creation of a pretrial services division under probation. I would be cautionary, though, that if you are going to create a pretrial services division under probation, that you give it the resources necessary to run that division of probation. Creating it, but not giving the resources to do it, will serve no purpose whatsoever and strain an already very strained department. So I'd ask that you be thoughtful about that. As to the other issue, Senate 786 and 1620, dealing with the issue of minimum mandatories, I think we all have the same perspective, at least at this table. A correction perspective is very different than on the outside. We know that we are hemmed in and we are not able to do what we need to do. We can't incentivize them to participate in programming. We just can't get them to do the programming sometimes. And we know that the programming helps inmates become better and stronger when they leave than when they come in. We know that it helps them not recidivate as much if they participate in programming. So without programming, we run the risk of having individuals completing their sentence without addressing the very factors that led them to their incarceration in the very first place. So they come out the same, or sometimes worse than when they came in, rather than better than when they came in. Also, as Sheriff Bellotti had mentioned, it restricts our replacements to be able to put them in less costly settings for the taxpayers and better settings for their own preparation. A Northeastern study, would you speak about the issue of recidivism? Northeastern study at the Middlesex House of Corrections in 2009 found that those inmates that participated in 90 days of programming recidivated at 1/2 of the rate that others did. 1/2 of the rate, so the programming does work. And currently we're in the process of running our own numbers. Currently, the first portion of the study put our 1-year recidivism rate at 30%, and we're now looking to see if we can dig down to find out about the program that has been. Let me just say one thing. I trust prosecutors. I was a prosecutor. I trust prosecutors. But I also trust the judiciary. And I think it's important that we also trust other players to give informed, intelligent, appropriate, and fair sentencing decisions. There's been some talk about the crime rate coming down. I think it's really important for us to dive into some of those numbers a little bit as well and inform ourselves. Today, the crime rate is about half what it was in 1991. Violent crime has fallen by 51% since 1991. In property crime by 43%. You've heard these numbers as well. And there have been a number of explanations offered by experts throughout the country. Expanded police forces, aging population, employment rates. But a recent study from the Brennan Center at New York University Law School, which is a nonpartisan law and policy institute and really the premier think tank on criminal justice policy issues, finds that most likely there is no one cause for such widespread dramatic change. Many factors are responsible. The report continues to say, simple findings say, that increased incarceration has a negligible impact on crime control and crime benefit. For example, nationally, from 1990 to 1999, nationally, incarceration rate jumped by more than 60% during those 10 years, while the violent crime dropped by 28%. But in the next decade, 2000 to 2009, the rate of incarceration increased by 1%, while the violent crime rate fell by 27%. So the use of, what they also suggested was the use of data and technology in policing has played a role in bringing down crime rates. Certain social, economic, and environmental factors also played a role in the crime drop. Effects on crime, aging population, changes in income, and increased alcohol consumption. And I think while you have three members of the same party here today, most of the work that we do in the sheriff's has been completely bipartisan. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we have in many ways, and I don't want to speak for the others on this issue today, but just the fact that sheriffs work together and that criminal justice reform and criminal justice corrections really is not a partisan profession.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of numbers questions. I think you guys are in a forward position in terms of understanding the numbers.